much has been reported and written about the fact that the Parsis are an endangered community. With a steady 18% population decline and low fertility rates, the aging community is shrinking in size year after year. But now, Parsis in India are coming together to save their culture and heritage in various ways. I am Shubhangi Misra, senior correspondent with ThePrint, and I traveled to Mumbai, Delhi, South Gujarat to speak to the people at the helm of these efforts to save the Parsi culture and identity. Parsi Zoroastrians are a small religious ethnic group who first arrived in India almost a millennia ago. They sought refuge in Gujarat and the community blossomed from there. Their first home in India was Navsari, which is situated 2 hours from Surat. Currently, less than 60,000 Parsis are left in India, most of them in Mumbai. The Parsi community is considered generally well off and has played a significant role in the story of India. From their community come business families like Godrej and Tata and philanthropists like Jamsetji Jijiboy, whose contributions in shaping the city of Mumbai are unparalleled. First up, let's talk about Centre's Jiyo Parsi scheme. This is Mumbai's Parsi lying-in hospital, the city's first maternity medical center built in 1895 and spread over 17,000 square feet. It is a silent sentinel to the crisis of numbers that India's Parsi Zoroastrian community is staring at. Inside the hospital is the Office of Parsiana, a leading fortnightly paper that keeps a check on Parsi mortality rate.
So we have no way of the statistics and the data is not easily available. So if they've got 400 children, whether those children have been born regardless of Jiyo Parsi or not, we don't know. But let's assume that they probably were. But 400 children is not going to change your demographics. It certainly helps. Every child born helps the demographics. But it's not going to change your demographics. There's still going to be a community in decline, and the decline is going to continue.
Sir, right now, within the Parsi community, what are the efforts that on a community level or on the panchayat level that we're taking to increase the demographic or correct the declining growth?
Well, I'm not aware of any steps. The panchayat was giving a stipend to people if parents had a third child or a second child, they were given a stipend. But then the panchayat itself has been so financially handicapped that stipend hasn't been given for a long time, I think. Or if they've been given, it's been delayed, but I'm not aware that they're giving it even now.
The Jiyo Parsi scheme was implemented in 2013 to tackle this very demographic predicament. For a decade, the scheme was implemented with the help of the Parzor Foundation. It was founded by Sharnaz Kama, a lecturer at Delhi's Lady Shri Ram College, who has been working towards the preservation of cultural heritage of the Parsis.
The statistics were very clear. There was both qualitative and quantitative data to show that there was a massive decline, and it was not a decline because of sudden drop in fertility. We Parsi families used to have 13 children in 1900. Suddenly you have 0 children, you have 33% unmarried, you have 33% unmarried, 30 to 35% over the age of 65 plus, which is the inverted demographic triangle. And J.K. Bhatia in the 2001, post-2001 census realized with a special study which we had worked on it with him, with the census, that only one Parsi in 9 families had a child below the age of 10. Now that is heading towards extinction very rapidly, which is when we went to the government, and that was about the time 2006 when the Minorities Ministry had just been formulated. And they asked every community to put up a white paper. So I was requested by my community to put up a white paper. I talked about heritage, I talked about education, I talked about Land to the Tiller Act and all these things. And of course I talked about demographics. So it was Mr. Salman Khurshid was the minister. We were called back and we were told, look, this is the thing we want to tackle. So we began working to get funding because it was a large program. And we had to get expert advice both from the medical side as well as from the psychological side, because fertility is a very private thing. So you don't walk into somebody's house and say, have more babies. So we began working on it. The first we were thrown out by the planning commission. Second time, suddenly one day I hear that the Jiyo Parsi scheme has been launched and there's going to be 10 crores in the budget for it. So we were very happy. It did not really take off till we hit people in the face with Sam Balsara, Madison BMB's ad campaign. I know it offended a lot of women. I know it offended a lot of people, but at least people were talking about the problem. And it was a tongue-in-cheek campaign, so if people didn't have a sense of humor or they didn't understand the crazy Baba sense of humor, they would not understand it. It was, the aim of the campaign was not to tell every person on the street get married and have a kid. The aim of it was to tell people who had tried for 10 years because they got married at 35, when biologically a woman starts aging at 25, that if you want help, we are here. It was also very fortunately the time when ICSI, besides IVF, ICSI and other techniques of ART, artificial reproductive techniques had come in. So we started with very small amounts, and till this campaign became a household word, we didn't have success. But once it went viral on social media, even before the launch, the official launch of the print ads, people began approaching us. I would get phone calls all the time. And we literally have held the hand of young couples, old couples, middle-aged couples from 2013 till 2022.
Kama's foundation, Parzor, was entrusted with the implementation of the scheme for a decade because she has been working to preserve Parsi cultural heritage with the UNESCO since 1999.
It started with UNESCO requesting me to record the Parsis before they died out. This was 1999 when they realized that according to UNESCO, they have a certain way of recognizing when a community or a heritage is about to disappear. It's their job to tell the community and to tell the country to work on it. And they called me for an interview, and because they knew I'd been working on Zoroastrianism for many years, I did my PhD on Zoroastrianism. And they called me for an interview, and then after that they asked me to first look at oral history. It was then not called oral history, it's only become popular recently. They wanted me to go into the field and record as much as I could from the people before they disappeared.
Kama's journey began in 1999 when UNESCO sanctioned the Parzor project. She travelled to Gujarat for field work, and one of the initial places she visited was the first Dastur Meherji Rana Library in Navsari. Founded in 1872, the library houses archives and memorabilia, like Farmans of Mughal Emperor Akbar, the 3 volumes of Shahnama, an epic poem by the 10th century Persian poet Firdausi, a khayal by Tansen, letters by Abul Fazl, who was Akbar's Grand Wazir, and other scholarly work in Persian, Urdu, Gujarati, Avestan, Pahlavi, and Sanskrit. They are stored in a tiny air-conditioned room in an annexure at Meherji Rana Library. There is nowhere else to store them. The library houses more than 700 handwritten manuscripts, which also carry religious value for the Zoroastrians. Today, most of these documents have been restored, but Kama had unearthed them from dusty wooden almirahs in the library, where the paper was crumbling and cultural treasure was rotting away, just like another victim of India's nasty old habit of not preserving historical accounts properly.
ये लाइब्रेरी है, ये डोनेशन पे चलती है, तो जैसे जैसे डोनेशन आता जाता है वैसे वैसे हम काम करवाते जाते हैं।
कहाँ से डोनेशन आता है? पारसी प्राइवेट लोगों से, ट्रस्ट से आप मांगते हो? कैसे चलता है?
सब पारसी ट्रस्ट में से आता है और पारसी प्राइवेट भी देते हैं सब लोग, और हम लोग हर साल अपील बाहर निकालते हैं कि जैसे हमें अभी रिनोवेशन के लिए चाहिए, बुक प्रिजर्वेशन के लिए चाहिए, मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट के लिए चाहिए, तो ऐसे हम हर साल हमारी अपील निकालते हैं। उसके हिसाब से हमें डोनेशन रिसीव होता है, कितना डोनेशन हुआ है उसको काउंट करके हम सब काम करवाते हैं।
टोटल हैंड रिटन मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स आपके पास टोटल में कितनी होंगी?
टोटल 600 जितनी होगी, सब वॉल्यूम और सब मिला के।
Kama's discovery all those years ago injected an urgency in the small, closely knit community to reverse the tragedy of its slow extinction. For the Parsis, it is a crisis of memory as well as memory keepers. The loss is at once urgent and historical. They fear that the tangible and intangible threads of their history, culture, philanthropy, and memory would vanish as well. And it has united factions of the community, the wealthy and the not so rich, the young and the old, the traditionalists clinging to the ways of purity, and the modernists demanding change. The Meherji Rana Library restored religious texts and other archival history, especially Parsi correspondence with the Mughals. An oral history project simultaneously captured the living memory of the Parsis.
Though we Parsis knew the problems that face us and all the Zoroastrians across the world know it, it was only when UNESCO stepped in that the government of India started looking at it as a serious issue, and the community itself came together to support us in every way. The first job, which was the most fascinating, was the oral recording. This is what is UNESCO's Memory of the World program. It is important because the greatest memory is held right over here in our minds. And unless we record that, it will disappear with the person who's living. So we started with that, and each one of those stories triggered off a project. So somebody would ask us in Bharuch, will you drink Taka water? And we then would obviously ask, what is Taka water? And from there we discovered the entire water harvesting system, which actually links back to ancient Persia and the Qanats of Persia and the water systems of the Persian Empire. And then we discovered this immensely interesting pure drinking water being collected in the huge underground storage tanks of the Takas of Bharuch. So that's just one example. Secondly, of course, we discovered a lot about the music. Because as children growing up in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, we had sung Monajat with our grandparents. The world had forgotten the word Monajat. Then we realized that it's an ancient tradition, again going back into Persian history. So the continuity of culture, which I discovered on my field trips, was something very heartening, and it has led to many, many projects.
Parzor, with the help of grants from Sangeet Natak Academy, has also restored Parsi theatre scripts that otherwise would have been lost. One of the key people in the team was Vanshika Singh, a 32-year-old PhD student who collected old theatre scripts from houses in Mumbai and Kolkata. Theatre is an intrinsic part of Parsi cultural identity. It was developed as the earliest form of entertainment, and to date, the genre that rules the Parsi theatre is comedy.
It is our more perfect intention or our motto that people should enjoy. लोग हंसना चाहिए, लोग को मजा आना चाहिए.
इनमें डिपिक्शन ज़्यादातर पारसी फैमिलीज का ही होता है?
नहीं, गुजराती भी कॉमेडी तो बहुत होती है. सिद्धार्थ रांदेरिया है, देखो कितने अच्छे कलाकार हैं और पूरी कॉमेडी करते हैं. हाँ.
नहीं, आपके जो प्लेस आप परफॉर्म करते हैं, क्या उनमें ज़्यादातर डिपिक्शन पारसी फैमिलीज का ही?
Yes, 100% Parsi. Of course, brethren community are also there. देखो अगर मेरा सर्वेंट हो तो कोई भी हो सकता है, पारसी भी हो सकता है, दूसरा भी हो सकता है. So we want to involve brethren community also. It is a Parsi play, but other community people are also involved in our Parsi play.
तो इनमें क्या कई बार पारसी ज़ोरास्ट्रियन स्टोरीज भी इन्वॉल्व रहती हैं, जो रिलीजियस स्टोरीज हैं? आर दे एवर इन्वॉल्व, टेकन इंस्पिरेशन फ्रॉम?
I think yes, what you say is right. इंस्पिरेशन तो क्या, लेकिन अगर वो आए तो उनको मज़ा आ जाएगा, और तो इंस्पिरेशन तो क्या मिलेगा ड्रामा में से. अगर वो रिलीजियस प्ले हो और थीम कुछ अच्छा हो तो कुछ इंस्पिरेशन मिलता है. हमारा ड्रामा में तो इंस्पिरेशन इतना ही मिलता है कि हंसो और हंसाओ. बी चेयरफुल.
तो सर ये प्लेस नवरोज के टाइम ही स्टेज होते हैं?
हाँ, नवरोज़ के टाइम पे ज़्यादातर होते हैं. अभी पारसी प्लेज इतने चलते तो है नहीं, तो सब नवरोज़ होता है, पतेती होती है, तब पारसी लोग थोड़ा इंटरेस्ट लेते हैं ड्रामा में, और उनके शाम जरा अच्छी जाए, एंटरटेनमेंट हो जाए, इसके लिए वो ड्रामा में जाते हैं.
Over the years, Kama has collected family heirlooms, rare artifacts, portraits, which have been generously given away by Parsi families for the larger cause of their community. Parzor has conducted over 50 exhibitions in India and abroad, which have shown some of these exhibits. One of the things Kama covered in her project was the making of the sacred thread of the Kusti, which is made by Parsi women in their households. Shehnaz Dastoor is one of the few remaining Kusti weavers who works out of her home in Awabag in Navsari.
आपने किससे सीखा था ये?
मेरी मम्मी.
उन्होंने अपनी मम्मी से?
हाँ.
अच्छा, तो आपके घर में कितने सालों से लोग ये कर रहे हैं?
ये तो क्या, अभी मैं 12 साल की थी तब से कर रही हूँ.
अच्छा,
मैं 54 की हो गई.
आपकी बच्चियाँ नहीं करती लेकिन
ये मेरी बच्ची ये करती है, इस पे इसका इंटरेस्ट नहीं है इतना. वो
अच्छा,
जॉब
आता है लेकिन
आता है, जॉब पे जाना है तो टाइम नहीं मिलता है, खाली ये करती है इतना.
तो अभी कुछ नई पीढ़ी आ रही है इस काम में?
किसी किसी को इंटरेस्ट है तो करते हैं, ज़्यादा नहीं पढ़ते हैं और घर पे बैठे हो तो करते हैं.
कितना पैसा मिलता है इसका?
वो तो जितना पतला होता है उतना ज़्यादा मिलता है. 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 तक का पूरा ख़त्म होने के बाद.
20 years after Kama first travelled, a young Pune-based researcher, Freni Daruwala, is traversing through India, recording the memories of Parsis. She is compiling them all together and publishing them on Evergreen Stories, a platform for oral history recordings. Only the older generation of Parsis today have knowledge of Munajats, which are endangered. While preservation efforts are ongoing, some tangible cultural heritage is rotting away because of the lack of funds. Navsari is a town about an hour from Surat, which was, in all essential ways, built by the Parsis who came to Gujarat shores seeking refuge from persecution in Iran around 1,000 years ago. As we all know, today Parsi population is declining at a staggering rate. The signs of that decline are clearly visible in the abandoned houses of Navsari. They have been encroached upon, shops have been made, or they simply have not stood the test of time. As you can see in this house, half demolished, there's a living room which might have been chirpy at one point of time. You can see stairs going up, or at least a shadow of a stairs that used to go up, a bathroom over there. Navsari is dotted with such abandoned, old, 100-year-old houses everywhere. Some Airbnbs have come up, or some houses have been sold off, but there are no renovations. There is nobody left to renovate these houses. But now members of the Parsi community, some organizations have come up to preserve this heritage of the Parsis. Heritage walks are being organized. Some manuscripts are being dug out from libraries which were gathering dust lying in Godrej almirahs. In our story, we are going to tell you all about these preservation efforts for preserving heritage and culture of the Zoroastrians. We visited Udwada on the day of the Parsi New Year. It is the pilgrimage town of the Parsis, but it lies completely deserted. Even in Navsari, there are countless homes that lie abandoned.
उदवाड़ा में कुछ प्लान है कि उसको थोड़ा वहाँ के हेरिटेज को
जो उडवाड़े में क्या है कि कोई पारसी अभी उडवाड़े जाने को तैयार नहीं है, या कि वहाँ पे कुछ भी वो क्या कह सकते हैं कि मॉडर्न जो कुछ भी हो वो है नहीं, वो बहुत पुराना है. और जो कई पहले तो क्या था कि जो हमारे में प्रिस्टली कास्ट थे, जो दोनों प्रिस्टली और लेन, तो प्रिस्टली कास्ट वहाँ पे ज़्यादातर थी.
अच्छा.
हाँ, लेकिन वो धार्मिक प्रवृत्ति अभी कम होती जा रही है. उसकी आबादी बढ़ती जा रही है, लोगों की आबादी कम होती है, तो उसको नेचुरली और लाइन पकड़नी पड़ती है. तो जो पढ़े लिखे जो लड़के थे वो सभी मुंबई की ओर चले गए, कोई लॉयर्स बन गए, डॉक्टर्स बन गए, बहुत सारे प्रोग्रेस कर दिया. और बाद में वो दस्तूरी कौन करेगा, तो वो है ना कोई रिटायर्ड पर्सन कुछ भी ऐसा हो, रिलीजियस पर्सन हो, वही वहाँ पे रह गए, बाकी के सब चले गए। लेकिन वो क्या है कि पारसी लोगों ने अपना पुराना मकान हो कुछ भी हो, वो कोई लोगों ने वहाँ पे रखा है और ओकेजनली आते जाते रहते हैं, फिर एक अट्रैक्शन रहता है। लेकिन वो आपने देखा होगा ना कि अभी जो 100 ईयर्स 200 ईयर्स एटमॉस्फेयर आज भी वहाँ पे दिखाया जाता है। तो एक तरीके से एक अच्छी पॉइंट भी है कि भाई जैसा है वैसा हो।
While many, like Debu, appreciate the old school charm of Udwara, it looks like a ghost town. It currently has a population of less than 50, and time is being cruel to what must have been grand mansions at one point.
पहला तो इतना बोले ये पारसी लोग के इतना रुबाब,
अच्छा,
और ये बाप रे, बोले तो आप तो अभी मेरे साथ बात कर रहे हैं ना, तो लोग तुम्हारे साथ बात भी नहीं करेगा वो।
अच्छा,
हाँ, टच नहीं करेगा। होते ओटला है ना, ये हिचका बिचका है ना,
ये कुआं,
हाँ हिचका झोला
झूला,
हाँ,
अच्छा,
इस पे भी तो आप लोग को चढ़ने नहीं देगा।
अच्छा,
इतना पवित्र रहता है, चोखा रहता है।
अच्छा,
हाँ, आपके साथ थोड़ा दूर से बात करता है।
ये सब देख के बुरा नहीं लगता कि ऐसे
क्या करें,
के रखते हैं?
या हिंदू लोग भी ऐसे साथ ऐसा हो गया था। बोले ऐसा दूर रहे हो, ऊपर से पैसा दो, ऐसा करो तो ऐसा करो, तो ऐसा करना पड़ता है हम लोग।
इतना करते थे?
हाँ, वो लोग अपन लोग को टच नहीं करता है लोग। अभी थोड़ा कम हुआ, अभी कोई नहीं रहा ना।
आसपास यहाँ पे काफी घर होंगे जो सड़ रहे होंगे।
सब सड़ रहा है, कोई आता ही नहीं ना, सब नौकर पे। अभी मेरा भी 1 2 3 4 5 6 हाउस है, 6 हाउस सब मेरे पास की है।
अच्छा,
हाँ, लेकिन
देखभाल करते?
हाँ, देखभाल करता हूँ। महीना में 2 महीने में लाइट बिल आता है, वो झाड़ू झूड़ू करने का, साफ सुफ करने का, वो सब।
The signs of decay are visible in Navsari too. According to Debu, there are merely 2,000 Parsis left in the city, and much of the properties of the families who have vanished or migrated from the city are rotting away. Maintaining the heritage properties is also difficult for people as it requires a lot of money to be put into them on an annual basis. Khushru Debu has converted his heritage home into a homestay.
These brick walls, previously there were no cement used to build these houses, so that water seepage and that thing used to occur every season. So paint will not stay on the walls for longer time.
Okay. And what kind of what have you done to make this into a heritage property? Like what kind of furniture?
Yeah, we just started putting one thing after another, and gradually it has taken shape.
Okay, but what are some of the unique things that one will?
We just decided that if we are giving to our guests also, then also we will not put modern furniture of ply or anything. All the corners and everything we'll see that we use all the old furnitures and renovated, and we put it there. Okay. All beds, all sofas, everything.
So much will be lost, especially Parsi architecture heritage will be lost if these houses are not maintained.
Definitely.
What should be done to preserve this?
To preserve it, there must be, I think so, good trust to help all this Parsi property maintain. Young generation should take initiative, just like what I did to maintain my house.
You were telling us that there have been some new developments at Udwara.
Usually, for many years, we used to find houses in very bad conditions. But gradually, when we visited, we find that houses are getting renovated. Young generations from Bombay and abroad, they are visiting their ancestral property and putting it in good shape.
Navsari is also the birthplace of many prominent Parsis, including Tata and Jamsetji Jiji Boy. Their family trusts have revived their old houses and sanctified them into small museums. Unfortunately, the same did not happen for Dadabai Narauji's house, which lies in shambles.
Why are so many heritage properties just lying around like that in places like Udwara and Navsari?
People left. People migrated. There's no money and there are no people. Parzor is trying now, finally, the last two things are a major educational program which we're hoping to start to encourage more people like y'all to come and look at this culture which has survived intact from the Bronze Age till today. The second thing is the protecting of tangible heritage. We have a very unusual tangible heritage. If you look around this room, you will see Persian things, you will see Chinese things, you will see Indian things, of course, and you will see a lot of European things. So we are an amalgamated culture from the beginning. It's not as if it only happened post-colonial times. From the time of Cyrus the Great's empire, we were a people who traveled, who were diasporic, who migrated from point A to point Z, and we were traders. So be it Aden or be it Zanzibar or be it Indonesia or be it Hong Kong or be it Singapore, we traveled everywhere and we brought back things which we liked. And I always call us a magpie culture. Like magpies, whatever we like about something, we pick up and we make it our own. So even our food is an amalgam of all these different cultures. So the point is that yes, we have food, we have beautiful objects, we have a lifestyle which can fit into the East or West. The bottom line is money. Massive finances are necessary for heritage protection because one would not want to do it in a bad way. After all, I do have the stamp of UNESCO behind me, so it has to be done authentically. That means if a teak roof has fallen down, it has to be replaced by that Burma teak, which is very expensive. The second thing is there are no people, there are no young people left. So if I need that, I need help from not Parsis, I need help from the community, from the Indian community. And heritage tourism in Gujarat and Rajasthan as a neighboring state has taken off so beautifully. Palaces which have fallen down like Tijara are today attracting visitors and enormous amounts of money. We can do it, but I need people. I need people to help me. Dadabai Naroji House sadly was actually divided into two when Dinyar Patel of Harvard, who is the author of the seminal book on Dadabai Naroji, when he visited Navsari and discovered this, and he had traced through the National Archives and all his work in his research. So he approached the Debu family and to try and salvage whatever we could. And half the house is already sold, but the front half of the house, they very kindly created a trust, the two Debu brothers, Dara and Kersi Debu, and they have kept the structure. It requires a lot of money. We have a plan for a complete museum on the Parsis in the Dandi March, which is very close to Navsari, and all the stops along the way. We planned that for years and years. And it's not such a huge amount of money. It's about 5 to 7 crores for setting up a complete, full interactive museum and really showing the story of what Gandhiji did in that town. And Gandhiji visited that house. Gandhiji spoke from that house. At the Naroji house in Navsari. He spoke over there. We've got the record of the date. I think it was 2021 or I'm not sure of the dates. Something between 19 and 2021. So he spoke from that house. So I think it's a very important historical monument which the government should help us protect, and we can do it in a very good way. But again, I want people and I want funding. That's always my problem.
While Parsis are trying for demographic correction through schemes like Jiyo Parsi and preserving their heritage in various different ways, the threat of extinction looms large. For now, the community is doing all it can so it is not erased from the pages of humanity's history. For ThePrint, this is Shubhangi Misra with Manisha Mondal.